This pathetic meal on a precious day off. How poor can you be?
My eldest son's wife, who had come home to visit, complained about the meal I had prepared, her tone like that of a rebellious child. I thought she was relying on me like a real parent to be repaid with such cruel treatment. I've reached my limit. Mine is Estella, 62 years old. My only son, Eli, has moved out, and I live peacefully with my husband, Sakurai. But Lily, I've been attending the local community center, learning sewing as a hobby. I look forward to going there for lunch and coffee with friends I've met, and today's no different.
I'm going fishing with my buddies. If the timing works out, I'll pick you up, so give me a call.
My husband calls out to me as I'm getting ready to leave. I can get back on my own, so just enjoy your fishing. My husband can be a bit overprotective, but he's truly kind to me. And if I can go and come back on my own, he always takes the initiative to drive me. No matter what happens in the future, my husband will protect me with his unwavering love. I was enjoying peaceful days, immersed in my hobbies with a sense of security. Then one day, I received an email from my son. Eli is 30 years old and works in sales at a major telecommunications company. He hasn't been home except for New Year's celebrations lately, saying he's busy with work and we haven't been in touch at all. I was surprised by his sudden marriage announcement and hurriedly consulted my husband.
Wow, I heard it's our Shiri. Wow, his fireman get married. I've been worried that he's 30 and still doesn't have a girlfriend. I'd love to meet her. Celebrity.
My husband was genuinely happy about our son's marriage, but I was a bit worried. Eli, like his father, is friendly and gentle, but his small flaw is being too tolerant of everything. Even in elementary school, he didn't care if a friend didn't return the last pencil he lent. Because of that, pencils and erasers kept disappearing, and he was always without.
I hope he can firmly tell her what he wants. He's too generous.
With such concerns, we welcomed the day of the family meeting. The girl my son brought was very tall, beautiful, and elegant like a model. And introduced by my son, she bowed her head slightly. Her demeanor was like an actress's, and I was captivated.
I'm Stella, Ellie's mother. Please come in.
I called out, but she didn't respond.
Maybe though you're so tall and beautiful. Where did you meet?
At a mixing party set up by a colleague. I saw her working as a waitress at a restaurant and I visited her a few times at work. Her hardworking and beautiful appearance was really cute.
Beauty diet? You're really smitten with Mayboy? It reminds me of when I was young and crazy about your mother.
The family meeting ended up being lively among the three of us. Whether she was nervous or considerate, she didn't join our conversation at all. I tried to engage her actively.
What do you like about my son? Mabel?
When I asked, she simply replied, "Nothing in particular."
Would you like coffee or tea? They asked.
"Juice is fine," she answered.
Her way of speaking was like that of a small child.
After she left, I asked Eli, is she always like that? She doesn't talk much, or rather she's quiet, or maybe even unfriendly.
Yeah, she's always like that.
I don't mean to speak ill of her, but I was a bit concerned that she didn't greet us properly or use polite language.
Ellie then passionately explained, actually. She's a child born when her parents were high school students.
Got married right after graduating, but divorced due to constant fighting. I wanted to support her, having grown up in such a tough situation.
So that's the case. Then you must make her happy. Do your very best.
I decided to warmly support my son and his wife as they started their new life. But after the wedding, my daughter-in-law started calling my mobile phone frequently.
I'm shopping, but I'm a bit anemic and tired. Can you come pick me up?
Are you okay? Evans, where are you?
I'm at the supermarket near the station. I'm sitting on a bench, so come get me.
She would ask for various things using language worse than a real daughter would use with her mother. At first, I was happy to be relied upon as if she were my real daughter, but it became annoying when she called for trivial things all the time. Else like these came in all day long. Well, it was at the community center. I asked my husband to handle it, but sometimes he couldn't because he occasionally worked as a security guard.
Sorry, can you take a taxi today?
Edson, she'd reply. I'm tripe 6 at pager. I'll do that if you pay the fare.
I was undoubtedly being treated like a handyman. Whether it was due to her upbringing or not, my daughter-in-law's personality seemed quite twisted. Why did my son marry such a woman? How long would the situation continue? During a time filled with such doubts and anxieties, Ailey came home alone. I asked him directly.
Why is Mabel so selfish? She's beautiful, sure, but with that personality, it must be hard to be with her.
Ali hung his head a little low and began to explain how they ended up getting married.
He was smitten by her beauty and asked her out, but it wasn't easy. She demanded that he do whatever she said as a condition of dating, and he accepted it all. I regretted raising my son to be too weak and tolerant.
After a while of no contact, my son said, "We'll come home together on the next holiday," and I prepared dinner to welcome them.
But my daughter-in-law looked at the food I made and snapped, "What? Fried chicken ezzolets? This isn't a kid's field trip, you know. They'd serve something like steak. How poor can you be to serve such a pathetic meal?"
She berated me with the crude language of a delinquent.
I'm sorry. I should have told Mom about your favorite foods.
My son bowed his head, looking defeated. Being manipulated by his wife and losing control, he's too good-natured.
His wife, taking Eli's submissive attitude for granted, said, "Oh, I don't like raw fish. If it's Japanese food, I prefer meat sushi with roast beef or prosciutto. I'll tell you the place I always go to, so hurry up and order delivery."
But just as I was about to raise my voice, my husband stood up, his deep voice trembling with anger.
This is the last time we'll see your favorite Caesar's hash brushing. Think of this as your last supper and eat whatever meat sushi you want.
I had never seen my usually gentle husband explode with anger like this. My son and his wife were stunned, their eyes wide open.
Would you mind my lastes?
That means exactly what it says. Your mother planned this menu long ago, making your favorites like fried chicken, omelets, roast beef, and even cake. And yet you insulted as a picture of teen treat us like poor people. We're cutting ties with you two today.
My husband must have reached his breaking point. He seemed determined to sever ties with them.
Glenn, if there's roast beef and cake, bring it out first. It's your fault for hiding it. Don't yell at me.
My daughter-in-law, fearless, snapped back at my husband. If my husband had reached his limit, I was ready to challenge this devilish daughter-in-law without holding back.
I'm sorry I didn't prepare what you like. Do you have any requests?
I told you already, meat sushi with roast beef and prosciutto, and also a hayo and aqua pazza.
She continued to order, unfazed by my husband's anger.
I don't have olive oil for ahayo, but I have red snapper and clams, so I can make aquapazza. I'll leave the rest to you. I don't have olive oil for ahayo, but I have red snapper and clams, so I can make aquapazza. I'll leave the rest to you.
I quickly took out the ingredients from the refrigerator and handed her a pot.
What? You want me to do it?
She froze, holding the pot.
It seems my cooking doesn't suit your taste. Show me your skills as a housewife.
I decided to leave the cooking to her. That's a good idea. Since you called her cooking Sadix and called us poor, your cooking must be delicious. My husband backed me up.
No, I'm a guest, right?
I faced my daughter-in-law, who was trying to make excuses, and shouted, "No excuses, just do it."
She was overwhelmed by my momentum and put the pot on the stove with trembling hands.
Don't heat it empty. Minutes, the pot will burn. Start with desaning the clams and removing the stems from the cherry tomatoes.
Whether she resigned herself to my stern attitude or not, she began to tap the clams with a fork.
Don't you descend clams by soaking them in salt water, not tapping them.
Ailey watched his wife's cooking with a stunned expression.
I don't know that. Making a guest do this? You really are a devil, mother-in-law.
Closing her way out and furious, she threw the fork, and a loud laugh erupted from behind.
You criticize other people's cooking as pathetic, and you can't even desean clams. Also, you don't say thank you or sorry, and you have no manners at all.
The voice belonged to my sister, Katrina, who had come to visit on her day off. I had been a cooking instructor at the Cultural Center for a few years, and my sister still teaches manners.
I was in the next room until now, but your attitude and personality are really terrible. I have a lot to say, but first, what's with that outfit? Are you here to play?
This outfit? It's the trendy Korean leggings.
You think that's fashionable? Dressing appropriately for the time, place, and occasion is basic. I can't believe you came to your husband's family home in something that looks like pajamas.
My sister, without any hard feelings, sternly scolded her for her complete lack of common sense.
Your attitude, your language, your clothes, everything is a mess. I don't know how this family puts up with a daughter-in-law like you.
If we were worried about every failure like her, we'd go crazy. We've just accepted that this is how she is. Urged by my sister, I threw back words I wouldn't normally use. Then, my son and daughter-in-law began to argue fiercely.
It's your fault for complaining about Mom's cooking.
They were arguing loudly. My husband silenced them with a shout.
If you want to fight, do it elsewhere. If you have something to say, gather your thoughts and come back another day. I'll listen just once.
My husband glared at them with a terrifying expression I had never seen before. Overwhelmed by his furious momentum, the two hurriedly left.
A few days later, they came to our house with solemn faces, begging for forgiveness.
It's not just your wife's attitude. The year for alignment! I'm utterly disgusted seeing you with no common sense, fawning over a wife who has none either.
My husband glared at Ellie, still angry from the other day.
I've decided if you're going to cut ties with me, I'll divorce her.
Ellie's unexpected and shocking words. His wife's eyes widened in surprise.
What's going on? You said you'll protect me.
I thought so, but I'm convinced that what Mum and Aunt said is right. So Gary did. I now see how terrible your lack of common sense, your clothes, your language, and your personality are.
But you're treating me like the bad guy. You don't care about me.
I'm just tired of all that about you. You.
Eli looked down, his voice barely above a whisper.
Just come pick me up. I'm tired from shopping. Bring me money. As money. Catch this people tariff for you. I don't have enough. You kept calling my mobile phone. Check is near. Reef. When I turned it off, you even called my office. When I said no, you got angry saying, don't you care about me? You said you'd do anything for me.
He wasn't even accused of cheating, and it seemed Ellie had reached his breaking point.
Think about us who had to put up with your whims, and don't give your wife my cell phone number without asking.
That's right, it's really annoying. I don't see. Handles your own wife.
My husband coldly dismissed them, and we decided to cut ties with our son and his wife. After we severed ties with them, my sister frequently visited their home. She said she was just enjoying tea time with them, but she was actually strictly disciplining my daughter-in-law with her expert manners training. And then the daughter-in-law came to my house to apologize, looking like a completely different person, worn and defeated.
I'm sorry.
She bowed her head, handing over an envelope filled with cash as a token of apology and the taxi fares I had paid for her in the past.
No matter how much you apologize,
I coldly pushed her away, and she slumped in despair. Eli and she had been living separately within the house, and it seemed that divorce negotiations would begin soon. However, she couldn't get in touch with her biological mother, and she had neither a place to live nor any money. Driven into a corner, she seemed to realize how much her words and actions had troubled others, but it was already too late. The stormy days with our son and his wife passed, and my husband and I returned to our peaceful daily lives, enjoying our hobbies. I was thinking that Eli should find a new wife as soon as possible, and to my surprise, he actively started dating and quickly found a new girlfriend. She was Japanese, a graceful woman who enjoys traditional Japanese arts like tea ceremony, flower arrangement, and wearing kimonos. She said she liked my son's slightly shy but tolerant and gentle personality. I'd once regretted that personality, but now I feel that our parenting was not wrong. I'm going to the cultural class. All right, I'm going fishing. Just on the way back from our hobbies, my husband would apparently come to pick me up in the car. It seems that our son has indeed inherited his father's kind nature.